I'm honored to introduce Sharon Dunn to speak to you today.
Good morning. Your center is beautiful. I heard about it from several of my colleagues. Oh, wait till you see the church in Redding, the labyrinth. This is beautiful. How blessed you are. And there's a lot of you up early this morning. What a fine community. So my topic is relationship as a spiritual practice. And of course, when we do a talk, as ministers do, we plan a talk, and then Spirit wakes us up in the middle of the night, and decides to download a completely different talk. And I've learned to get up and write it down, because it's always better than what I had in mind. And so last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was writing these things down that I got downloaded, and my topic changed. My topic changed to give God away. What does that mean? Right? So have you ever done the exercise where you list your priorities in life? Anybody? Where you've really thought about, what are my priorities? What's first and foremost most important to me? I've done this. Oh gosh, my kids. My job? No. No, that's not it. What's most important to me, as it turns out, when everything and all those things are gone, is my relationship with Spirit. Call it whatever you want, called by many names. If the word God doesn't resonate with you, you can call it Bobo, Papa, Yahweh, Allah, the Great Spirit. Is it okay if I call it God today? Okay. So having gone through everything that I've gone through up until now, having lost a child, having my family go through many things, having my husband's health be threatened, what I ended up with every single time that never ever quit on me, that was a sure thing, that I could trust beyond all earthly things, was my relationship with Spirit. So, what does it mean, relationship as a spiritual practice? To me, it means giving attention to my relationship with Spirit. That's my spiritual practice. For some reason, being human, I don't know if anyone else goes through this, but I forget all the time who I am, what I am, whose I am. I get caught up in the news, race consciousness, problems, my community, my spiritual community, issues there. You don't have any here, right? And I forget who and whose I am. So I do my daily spiritual practice to remember. And what's the first thing in spiritual mind treatment? Recognition. That's all we actually have to do, right? Recognition. Because as soon as you do the first step of spiritual mind treatment, which is, if you're new, our affirmative prayer style, and by the way, if you're new, you can pray any way you want. You don't need to worry about how we do it. But if you do the first step of spiritual mind treatment, you're done. Everything goes away. You remember. You recognize that there's only one, and it is my life, and it is the only life there is. And doesn't that feel good? So I say give God away means that if I am in that first step, if I'm recognizing the one, if I'm the living, breathing presence expressing as me everywhere I go, I'm giving God away. And what happens when we give? We receive. That is the law of circulation, that's the circle. Okay, so my priorities? God, then me. Without me, how can I give to anyone else or do anything? If I'm not taking care of me, how can I take care of anything else? Then comes my family, then comes my work. That's how I do it. So I have a quote here that I want to share with you. Ernest Holmes talks about relationship. Listen to this with me. God is pure spirit. Filling out space, this pure spirit animates your every act. There is a real you which lives in a real God, and the two are one. To know this is to understand the secret of life. To realize this is to understand your relationship with the divine presence. To realize that the law of God is written in your own mind is to make available to you a power that can meet every need. Isn't that beautiful? So I also wanted to talk about the more mundane relationship in form. I'm going to talk about my marriage, of course. I've been married since God. And let's see, the first 20 years of my marriage was difficult. I wanted to have my needs met. They weren't being met. I found a lot wrong with my marriage. I especially found a lot wrong with my husband. I spent 20 years complaining and focusing on the fact that I didn't and wasn't getting my needs met. I don't know where we got that statement. I think it was Gloria Steinem back in the day when we became feminists, which actually did not work, by the way. Then I had a revelation. What if in my marriage I just gave? What if I decided that my marriage was going to be all about giving? And the next 20 years of my marriage has been wonderful. And I got my needs met. Wow. I'm a hard sell because it takes me a while to get things. Yes, we're having our 40th wedding anniversary in May. Thank you. You know, and I learned about love and about giving love. I'm learning, I'm going to say that in the present tense, I'm learning how to give love the way the person I'm giving it to wants to be loved. Not the way I want to be loved. That's a concept. I just did a memorial service where I don't know how many people came and talked about this woman who loved the way each individual she was loving wanted to be loved. She gave gifts, not what she thought that, oh, I like this, I'm going to give that, but what that person either collected or mentioned to her, you know, oh, I really like this, or she loved the way the person in front of her wanted to be loved. Wow. So love to the masculine is unconditional acceptance. Love to the feminine is being taken care of. Love to the masculine is unconditional acceptance. Love to the feminine is being taken care of. So I think my problem the first 20 years of my marriage was I wanted to take care of him. Boy, he just wanted me to accept him unconditionally. I followed these 3 rules finally. Don't make him wrong. Don't tell him what to do. And love him. Unconditional acceptance. And at first I thought I couldn't follow those 3 rules. I was always making him wrong. I'd start a conversation with him. And at first he was like, "What's wrong, honey?" I'm like, everything okay? And I realized how many times I was making him wrong or telling him what to do. So it took me a while to, be able to talk to him like that. So we've heard of the 4 agreements, correct? Well, I'm going to talk about four things 3 times today. In my marriage, which is a big chunk, 40 years, I've realized, wow, we have 4 agreements. At first we met and it was the physical, exciting, hot, wonderful. And we had children, of course. And then we got into the emotional, the heart, raising the children. And then it was the mental, how are we going to provide, creating our estate, protecting our loved ones. And now, our 4th agreement is the spirit of the relationship. And it is amazing. We're getting to that place of having met our 4 agreements. And it is, I'm so blessed to have stuck it out long enough to be able to have those 4 agreements with this beautiful human being. And it's the same thing in community love. When you have spiritual maturity, your community also can use the 4 agreements to grow your community and be a loving, loving place where loving relationship as a spiritual practice is realized. Speaking from a loving place. Is it mine to say? We've heard this, right? Is it mine to say? Do I need to say it? Can I say it about myself? In other words, if there's only one, and I'm noticing you're doing something, and I want to tell you about it, can I tell it about myself? Because we can't reflect or identify with anything that we don't reflect and identify from our own stance. If you're doing it, I've done it. If you're doing it, I'm doing it now. Can I say it with love? This is it. Truth without brutality. Truth without love is brutality. Don't you love that person that just, I have to tell you the truth, and I don't have time to mince my words. I don't have time to, be the minister self that I am. Really? Take the time, right? You can't take back what you've said. You can't undo what came from the tongue. So you've heard of Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements? Anybody? I know you. Creating loving relationships as a spiritual practice takes practice. I don't know anyone who just knows how to be loving in all moments, except these avatars that come. And even them, they go through their dark night of the soul, right? Miguel Ruiz says 4 agreements. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. That includes talking about other people, right? But what else? Talking about yourself. How many times have you just said, gosh, I'm too fat, I'm too stupid, I'm too old, I've been married too long. No, I don't say that. What else? I'm too old to start that new. I'm too old for my dream. I'm too old to live my bliss. It's too late. Impeccable with your word is to not speak against others. Number 2, don't take things personally. Well, this is a good one. Anyone ever do that? Don't take things personally. When someone is yelling at me, it's like, you don't have to own what that person is telling you. Can you actually listen actively and let that person just speak and be the container for them to speak and not think it's about you? What a spiritual practice that is. And if it is about you, if you react to something, then it is. That's a whole nother talk. Being with your reaction to something and taking the time to investigate what that is that has come up so that you can respond rather than react. Wow, that's a whole nother way of living. Don't take things personally. Someone's judging and someone's saying something and you're questioning, wow, is that about me? Number 3, don't make assumptions. This is where gossip comes in as well. Don't make assumptions. This is actually a spiritual practice in my marriage. I can tell you that every time, and these all or none statements are something we want to avoid, but I'm going to use it right now in my marriage because I got this. Every time I make an assumption about what he's thinking, I'm wrong. Every time. And then when he tells me what he's actually thinking, if he ever does, because getting things out of him is like the magician pulling the... Anyway. When he tells me what he's actually thinking or doing, I'm so surprised. I'm like, I wasn't even close. Don't make assumptions. Projections are good. I'm a photographer, professional photographer. And so I I love the metaphor of me seeing life through my camera. Because what I see through my camera is limited to my lens. My projections, what I think you're telling me, or who I think you are, or what I think you want, is all I know and hear. What if you're a unique expression of spirit, which is what we teach, and you are about something completely different than I in my limited understanding of you, and I'm just projecting? Why not instead find out, what is it? Who are you? What's your dream? How are you feeling? What's your experience? It's another spiritual practice, isn't it? And last but not least, always do your best. What does that mean? Well, what it means to me is to be the gift left at the door with no name on it. What if I just walked through life giving God away and you didn't know who did it? And I didn't need recognition. Just an idea. You have a new leader coming. Congratulations. I know it's the perfect person, coming here at the perfect time, uplifting your community. The question is, how are you going to treat this new person coming? A minister, live streaming spirit, without distraction, is to your benefit. If you're tearing down this minister, if you're the complainer, if you're and keep that minister busy with problems in the community, there's distraction. This person is coming to serve you, and you to serve this person. Both of you will be blessed. And there are different people in the community, from the complainer to the one, to the mystic, to the one in Christ consciousness that we teach. Relationship as a spiritual practice is all these things and more. It's the agreements that we make in everything we do, in our speaking, in our perceptions, in our communication. It's a spiritual practice just to walk and talk. God is always live streaming, and you're the satellite channel. Are you off or on? I'm going to leave you with this. Again, Ernest Holmes. Your place in life is to become an outlet for its wisdom, intelligence, love, beauty, and creativity. Your relationship to life is that you are of like nature to it. You are in it, and it is in you. Some part of you exists as pure, unmanifest spirit. This side of your nature has never been troubled. Since you are fashioned from the stuff of the invisible, its nature is incarnated in you. Because of this, your word has the power in your world of localizing itself, of manifesting itself in concrete form. You are in life. Life is flowing through you. It is you. It decrees, affirms, knows, and imagines. That which it decrees transpires. You are like it, and I leave you with, you rule your own world. Blessings.
And I would like to honored to welcome this morning, Reverend Sharon, to speak to you.
I don't do a treatment Good morning, good morning. You've grown since last service. You're amazing. Do you know how wonderful this center is? I heard before I got here that this was a beautiful place. And I heard there's a labyrinth that I'm going to check out after. But I had no idea. In fact, first service, I cut out quite a bit of my talk because it just didn't apply. There is an energy here that's amazing. And you've created it out of your relationship with each other. Pretty amazing. And then I thought the talk was done when I saw the children. Do you realize that all of those beings will be brought up in this teaching? Whew. Okay, we're done. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here. Thank you. So anyway, when you're a minister and you do talks, I plan them, and we have homiletics at the Holmes Institute to teach us how to do it, and I get it all done, and then Saturday night, 2 a.m., ring, God, yes, I'm tired. No, I have something to tell you. I'm going to change your whole talk. Get up. Actually, I know to get up because it happens, and I don't get up. I don't remember anything the next morning. So I'm a little tired, but no worries. New talk. So my topic was relationship as a spiritual practice, and my new topic is give God away. Give God away. And what happens when you give away or you give? The law of circulation claims, so you receive. So you receive. So, how many of you have done the exercise where you have to list your priorities? Anybody? And it's kind of a fun exercise, and it kind of makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Because I've done it where my first priority is shopping, no. Eating, no. My work, my family, for sure. No. And I'll tell you why. Because all my life I have been mindful to note that when things happen, what are the end results? I lost that home, I lost that job. what can I really count on? What do I know for sure? My kids? Wow. On a sad note, my husband and I have actually buried a child. So what did I have? What I have left, no matter what happens, no matter what, always, for sure, never leaves me, never forsakes me, Spirit. I'm going to use the word God. Is that okay? For those of you who that kind of, I doubt it here, but if that's the case, just translate. We're spiritual translators, right? We translate whatever we are thinking about into principle. So if God is a word that makes you uncomfortable, use another word. It's been called by many names, they say. Allah, Yahweh, Big Daddy, whatever. God is the source of all life. God is the creator of all life. God is all there is. God is eternal, immortal. God goes on, was here before, will be here after. In no time and space is there in God. It's a sure thing. It's the real deal. God is all there is. God is my priority, number one. And I just had an experience with my husband, who I'm going to talk a little bit about. And if you hear this later, I'm sorry, honey. But my relationship with my husband has actually been tested recently. Some of you may know he was very ill for a long time. He contracted a terrible disease in the Vietnam War. And in 1997, they gave him 18 months to live, so he's been ill a long time. We got, I would say, to death's door pretty much last July. And I had to think about that. That's another thing. He's not my source. Now, he got a liver transplant on July 2nd. Praise be to God and the donor family. And so he's doing great, playing 18 holes. He's fine. He's back. However, it was a test for me to notice, you know what? God is the only deal. Okay, so God is my first priority. Next, me, my relationship with me. What can I do? What can I give? What can I accomplish if I don't take care of myself, right? I can't be a mom to my kids. I can't be a wife to my husband. I can't be a minister to the world if I don't take care of myself. So priority number 2. Well, actually, isn't 1 and 2 kind of the same? According to our teaching, God in me, as me, is me, right? So that relationship. Next for me is family, and of course then my ministry, all of you. So it's a good thing to think about your priorities when you're thinking about your relationships. Okay. I have a reading here, Ernest Holmes. We're talking about relationship. We're talking about relationship. From the Science of Mind, 365, page 41. Listen to this. God is pure spirit, filling all space. This pure spirit animates your every act. There is a real you which lives in a real God, and the two are one. To know this is to understand the secret of life. To realize this is to understand your relationship with the divine presence. to realize that the law of God is written in your own mind. And this is to make available to you a power that can meet every need. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my marriage for some reason. God is good. For the first 20 years of my marriage, we struggled. We struggled. And I was telling first service, back in the day when I was newly married, we were in the midst of the feminist movement, Gloria Steinem. That model, by the way, didn't work. The divorce rate went very high. But anyway, that's another sermon. So the first 20 years of my marriage it didn't really go that well. And why was that? That was because I wasn't getting my needs met. Anyone? And he was not meeting my needs. And so I was really concerned most of the time for making him bad and wrong. And then I had a revelation. Why are you two laughing? Then I had a revelation. I had a little help with this, but that's, again, another sermon. I had a revelation. What if I changed my marriage into from need to give? What if all I was there for in my marriage was to give? What would happen? And there was a little technology there as well. I had 3 rules. Don't make him wrong. Don't tell him what to do. And love him. Well, the first 2 may seem very simple. But when you're starting a new habit, isn't it so that you have to start a new habit with another habitual behavior to replace it? So whenever I opened my mouth, at first he was kind of freaked out. Because he was like, "Are you okay, honey?" And I realized how many times I was making him wrong and telling him what to do. And I finally was able to kind of, speak. And the last piece was to realize love to the masculine and love to the feminine. And I think we were talking about this earlier. Love to the masculine is unconditional acceptance. Love to the feminine is being cared for. Interesting. Because I always loved him the way I wanted to be loved. Take care of me. Let me feel cared for. When in fact, love to him was unconditional acceptance. Why aren't we on the same planet together? I call it the planet of paradox, by the way. I think it should be changed from Earth. But that's another sermon altogether. So I started to love him the way he wanted to be loved, and not the way I wanted to be loved. And I was telling this, again, first service, is that I just did a memorial service, and this woman was so phenomenal that people were getting up to share about how she was just like that. That she loved each one of them the way they wanted to be loved. She would make gifts. She was very creative. She was what they called artsy-fartsy in her obituary. And she would make gifts Not because she would think of, oh, I want to make this gift for you, but she would know what kind of gift would mean something to you. She had the special talent, the special intuition, the special presence to love people, meet people where they are. So that was a whole different way of being in relationship with my husband. And the next 20 years of our marriage, yes, we will have our 40th wedding anniversary in May, and I will say, thank you. I will say that the next 20 years of our marriage has been wonderful. Even this long-term illness that he's had. And of course, the miracle of his transplant has changed our relationship. And I'm going to talk about the 4 agreements 3 times. The 4 agreements we've had in this long-term committed relationship is, the good news is when if you hang in there long enough, you really get the gifts of a relationship, don't you? If you hang in there long enough. Isn't relationship the fastest way to self? I'm alone here, I get. Okay. All right. So the first part of the relationship was the physical, right? You were young, hot, it's great, you know. And then we moved into that emotional. We had our children. And then we got into the mental part of our relationship. How do we provide for them? We had our careers. And this last agreement, especially now, we have made it to the spiritual. I'm so blessed. So how does this relate to you all? Relationship is not just your family, the people at work. You are all in a community of relationship. You all are in a community. And remember, church is very personal. It's not like corporations and being at work where it is not personal. It can be impersonal. When you're in a spiritual community, right, this is personal. This is where people come and they're safe and they get to express themselves in a very personal way. So there's 4, I don't know if you've heard of Miguel Ruiz and his 4 agreements, right? How many?
He's been here.
You guys are amazing. Really? Okay, let's just go over it because it's part of my talk. Bear with me. Be impeccable with your word, right? Right? Be impeccable. That means that you don't talk, you don't talk against someone else, right? More importantly, you don't talk against yourself. You don't talk against yourself. I'm too old to go for that dream. I'm too fat. I'm too short. I'm too old to go back to school. I can vouch for that one. You don't take things personally. You don't take things personally. Projecting onto other people, right? Taking things personally. Well, that person is judging, that person is judging me. What if we just stand with the other person and just allow them to have their say without it being about me, without needing to be defensive, without needing to make it about me? The neat thing about taking it personally, for me, another spiritual practice, is when I have a reaction to something, isn't it true then that we can actually notice the reaction we're having and stay with it and investigate it and then come to a response rather than a knee-jerk reaction? Wouldn't that be wonderful? We could do that all the time. That's a practice. That's a spiritual practice. Don't make assumptions. I'm going to talk about my husband again. Sorry, honey. But I notice in this relationship, I make assumptions, and I'm almost always wrong. Because if he were to actually be forthright and forthcoming with actually how he's feeling, which is not usually the case, I'm shocked. I'm not even close. Not even close. I make assumptions. I'm a photographer, a professional photographer, and it's like looking in that lens. I look in my limited lens, I get this picture. But that's not the whole picture. Don't make assumptions. And that's where gossip comes in, right? Gossip. And the last but not least, always do your best. Always do your best. This obviously is already happening in the center. You can tell. You can tell this is a living and breathing center. This is very alive here. Very alive. Always do your best. Be that gift left at the door with no name on it. I don't need credit. Just do your best. You're about to have a new minister here, aren't you? A spiritual community leader. In relationship with this new person coming in, you can either support this person to be free to download, to live stream spirit for you, or you can complain, you can be a problem, you can find things wrong, and that's distracting. It really is. What you want to do, and I know this community is going to do it, you're going to invite this person in with it, your open arms, and you're going to have a ton of fun. You're going to be blessed. The last thing I want to say about this, the 4 agreements, the fourth agreement, is about communication. You can ask yourself, does it need to be said? Is it mine to say? Can I say it about me? This is an interesting one. Can I say it about me? If we're one in each other, and I'm finding something wrong with you, and it's got to be wrong with me, right? Because we really can't, the quantum mechanics, which if you want to stick around, you can hear later. If it's happening to you, I can't identify it. I can't identify with it unless it's also happening to me. Can I say it about me? That keeps you away from the shame, blame, and frame, doesn't it? At least it does for me. And last, can I say it with love? Truth without love is brutality, right? And just remember, God is always live streaming, and you're the satellite channel. Are you off, or are you on? A daily spiritual practice of relationship is all of this. It's all of this. It's the four corners. It happens everywhere in everything. And I'm going to leave you with this from Ernest Holmes, as he should have the last say. This is from Science of Mind, 365, page 49. Your place in life is to become an outlet for its wisdom, intelligence, love, beauty, and creativity. Your relationship to life is that you are of like nature to it. You are in it, and it is in you. Some part of you exists as pure, unmanifest spirit. This side of your nature has never been troubled. Since you are fashioned from the stuff of the invisible, its nature is incarnated in you. Because of this, your word has the power in your world of localizing itself, of manifesting itself in concrete form. You are in life. Life is flowing through you. It is you. It decrees, affirms, knows, and imagines. That which it decrees transpires. You are like it, and get this, you rule your world. Let us pray. And just knowing that there is only one power, one presence, one magnificent spirit that creates out of itself all there is. All there is. So I call it forth right here and right now as love. Knowing that this is the relationship itself. That it cannot be opposed because it's infinite and it cannot be destroyed. Therefore, it is and must be good. This power and this presence is creative. It has created everything, including the rain that falls and blesses us. This one life is my life. And all that it is, I am. And I know this for each and every person in this sanctuary, for these beautiful, beautiful children who are learning about this very presence within them. And so knowing that this is my life, I know that I am that love, that power, that presence, that infinite wisdom, and that all that I need is available to me. And so I accept the blessings of this day. I accept the blessings of this beautiful spiritual center we call the Center for Spiritual Living Redding. It's astounding, and it beams with the blessings of the very Holy Spirit. God is alive here. God is welcome here. God is welcoming. I accept the blessings of just one visit here, that it uplifts. And therefore, the history and this community uplifts everyone coming to it. And like a pond, these blessings ripple out into the community of Redding, and then the greater community, and then our country, and then the world. I accept the blessings of this place where God is, ever present. I am so grateful. So I simply release my word, knowing that the law, the loving law, begin to chisel it into form the minute it is uttered, as it waited for this prayer since the beginning of time. I am so grateful. It is done unto we believe, and it is so. And if you affirm with me, please, by saying, and so it is. Amen.